Our data is, well, it's everywhere. In this digital world, it feels like our information is constantly being collected and used. But have you ever stopped to ask who's really in control? Today, we're going to build a roadmap to really understand information privacy and what it actually means for you. So let's just start with a really simple but super important question. When you download an app or you visit a website, who gets to decide what happens to your personal information? Who's in the driver's seat? This question right here is the absolute heart of what we're talking about. At its core, information privacy isn't some complicated tech jargon. It's simple. It's the right for you, for me, for all of us to control the information we share about ourselves. But okay, how does that big idea, that right to control, actually get baked into the apps and websites we use every single day?
Well, when it comes to actually building this stuff, companies basically have two ways of thinking about it. It's a choice between designing for privacy from the very beginning or trying to engineer it in later on. And trust me, that choice has huge consequences for all of us.
The best way to think about this is like building a house. Privacy by design is the blueprint. It's where you decide where the private rooms are, where the locks on the doors go, before you even pour the foundation. Privacy engineering, on the other hand, that's the actual construction work. It's the crew that comes in to install those locks and wire the security system. One's the plan, the other is making that plan reality.
And that blueprint, that privacy by design, is based on a few really key ideas. First up, it's about being proactive, not reactive. You want to prevent problems, not just clean up messes. Second, privacy should be the default setting. You shouldn't have to dig through menus to protect yourself. It should be automatic. And finally, it demands end-to-end security, which just means your data is protected from the moment you create it to the moment it's deleted.
Okay, so the designers have the blueprint. What are the engineers actually building? What are they trying to achieve for you? Let's get specific and look at the three main goals of privacy engineering.
Yeah, it's one thing to talk about privacy like it's this big abstract concept, but what does it actually look and feel like when you're using a service? When a system gets it right, what are we really looking for?
Well, if you look at the framework from NIST, that's the National Institute of Standards and Technology, it really boils down to three big things. First, predictability. The system does what it says it's going to do. No surprises. Second, manageability. You're in the driver's seat. You get easy-to-use controls to see, change, or delete your information. And finally, disassociability. This is a cool one. It means the service can process data without connecting it to you personally. It's kind of like the difference between paying with a credit card versus paying with cash.
Okay, now here's a spot where a lot of people get tripped up. We always hear the words privacy and security thrown together, as if they're basically the same thing. And they're not. They're related, for sure, but they are absolutely not interchangeable. This slide really breaks it down perfectly. Security is all about protecting the data itself. Think of it like a bank vault. Its job is to keep the data safe from thieves, make sure no one messes with it, and ensure you can get to it. Privacy, on the other hand, is about you. It's about your control, your consent. So yeah, the vault might be secure, but privacy asks, who gets the key to my safe deposit box and why do they get it? And here's where it gets really interesting. Just think about it. A company might scan every single one of its employees' emails to protect against viruses. That's a security measure, right? But they're also reading your emails. And that could be a huge privacy problem. See how they can clash? They can sometimes be in direct conflict with each other.
In the real world, you can't just flip a switch and have perfect privacy. It's a constant balancing act, a real tug of war between really important competing goals.
All right, here's the first big one, privacy versus utility. On one side, we want our data locked down tight. But on the other, that same data, if it's handled correctly, can be incredibly useful for things like medical research or making traffic apps work better. So the real magic trick for engineers is, how do you get all that good stuff from the data without compromising anyone's personal privacy?
And the second trade-off is one we have all felt. Privacy versus usability. I mean, seriously, who cares if a service has the world's best privacy controls if they're so confusing and buried in settings that nobody can find them or figure out how to use them? The real challenge is making privacy powerful and making it simple.
Okay, so we've looked at the big ideas, the goals, and the tricky trade-offs. But what's the one thing you should really walk away with from all of this? Well, it takes us right back to the beginning. It all comes down to this. The absolute best way to protect our privacy is to build it in from the very start. It means fixing problems before they even exist, instead of just cleaning up the mess after our data is already out there. That proactive mindset is the foundation for everything.
So that leaves us with one last big question to think about. If being proactive is really the secret sauce, what's that one critical thing a designer has to do, right at the very beginning, to even see the potential privacy problems and pick the right ways to solve them? Answering that, well, that's key to building a digital world that truly respects our privacy.